Hello Flosstube, my name is Claire and I'm here to give you a bit of an update on what I've been doing with my stitching over the last 5 or 6 months. It's been a while, various reasons. Life got busy and I have recently started a counselling course, so I've had essays to write and coursework to do, and that has ended up taking up rather more time than I thought it would. And then lately I've been a bit ill, so for about a month there was no way I was going to record anything. But I have been stitching up a storm, lots of new starts, even some finishes, and I have been on a retreat to Milton Keynes, which was not this weekend, the weekend before. Today is, I meant to do the date at the beginning, but today is the date, the 8th of May 2018. So that means, of course, that we are smack in the middle of Maynia as well. So with the retreat and Maynia and lots of things going on, I thought it's about time that I did a video. So here it is. We're going to start with the giveaway for Teresa Wentzler's unicorn pattern, which is here, which I not even in my last video, which was my whip parade, the one before that I did a giveaway for, and lots of you faithfully answered and entered for it, and then heard nothing from me for like 6 months, so I'm really sorry about that. So I have drawn the name, and it is Teresa Bell. You are the winner of this unicorn pattern. If you still watch my videos, if you still want it after all this time, I will try and get hold of you. If you try and get hold of me, then I can get this to you. Okay, so that was that. Okay, and since November, which was my last video, I have completed quite a few kind of ATC sized stitching pieces and a few few cards, but they have all been sent off because I'm a member of an ATC swap group on Instagram and a member of, well, I'm an admin now, of the cross stitch cards and ATC group on Facebook, along with the lovely Sarah Shears and Adele McNaughton. And so I've been churning out those finishes but sent those off, so I'm afraid I don't have those to show you. I also finished The Garden Shed, also known as the Fancy Outhouse Sal, by Michael Powell. And I have no idea where it is. I have lost it. I know I had it to go to the Hobbycraft show in November because I have a photograph on my Instagram of me stood next to Michael Powell, proudly holding my finish, and he was looking a little bit nonplussed, smiling sweetly. So I know I had it then. I don't know where I put it after that. It's somewhere, and it's only small. It's like dinky, so I've probably put it in a book somewhere or in a folder somewhere, and one day I will come across it and I'll be like, oh. So yes, that is finished, and if you want evidence of that, go on my Instagram, which is at Crafty Creative Claire, and I post on there most days. So videos I am never up to date with, but my Instagram is much more up to date with what I'm doing. So I've got a list down here, that's why I keep looking down, of things that I have finished. I do have 2 finishes that I can show you, and the first one is very special to me. It's my very first ever Heaven and Earth Designs finish. But it's only small. It's a story keep. And it is my beautiful mermaid, Jewel of the Sea story keep by Jessica Galbraith. And it is no longer available. It is retired. But isn't she beautiful? I love her. Sorry if you can hear the bin men outside, they're being quite noisy. So she is a finish and I'm going to get her framed. It's a very beautiful lady. And the other finish, I just finished last weekend at the stitching retreat at Milton Keynes. And this is a Prairie Schooler Angel. And this is also out of print, although I think it's on the list for the Prairie Schooler to reprint. And the story behind this, I can't show you the picture, because it's already been sent off to America. The lady that owns the pattern for these, or owns one of the patterns, a few months ago on the Prairie Schooler Students Facebook group, said, who wants to stitch these? And lots of us went, yes please. And she's written a list of everybody that said yes, and has started sending it around to the first person on the list. I think I'm like 7th on the list. So the idea is, when you get it, you drop everything else and you stitch it. Get rid of any working copies, because this isn't about copyright violation or anything. It's just sending the original pattern one after one round to the people that want to stitch it. And so I did that, stitched her up, and she's beautiful, and then parcelled up the pattern and sent it off to the next person. And she said if it is reprinted at any point, then to send the original back to her. What a sweet, sweet lady. It's such a lovely thing to do with some of these very rare, hard to find patterns. It's such a lovely idea. Right, so that's my finishes. Not very many, quite a few starts. So, before Christmas, I decided I wanted to do a winterish Teresa Wentzler. I've got lots of Teresa Wentzler whips, but I didn't have a kind of a winter seasonal one. So I looked through my Christmas collection of Teresa Wentzlers and chose this beautiful one. And this is the Frost Angel by Teresa Wentzler. Really beautiful. And there's lots of specialty stitches and beads in there. So that was the photocopy from the book, from my working copy, and this is as far as I've got. That's kind of the top bit of the angel's cloak and part of the arm, and I'm stitching this on, it's from Sew It All, Nantucket, 32 count even weave from Sew It All. So that was a start. I'll probably go back to that at some point in winter. The next start was my first chatelaine. Don't get excited. It's tiny. Very tiny. This is Martina's Roses. And it was a freebie at one point, but it's not anymore, so I bought it. And it's got eyelets around the edge. And I was missing a couple of DMCs, which I've since bought. So that's why the roses themselves are looking a little gappy. And there's going to be beads on this as well, and a bit more border. So it's only a little small one to dip my toe into the world of chatelaines, because I have my eye on a couple of not so small ones. But I thought I would, have a practice first. And then there was nothing. No new starts. No new starts from December, when I started those two, through to the end of April. I focused on my whips, which was fantastic, which meant that I could finish a couple of things. And I meant to not start any new things most of the year. Yeah, I blame Sarah Shears and Adele McNaughton, because after speaking to them quite a lot and then 2 hours on a hangout with them, not only did I break my no start fast, I dove straight into Maynia. I take no responsibility, but to be fair, it didn't take much persuasion. So anyway, before Maynia started, I decided that no longer could I resist Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, but it's such a big pattern, I decided to stitch it over one on 28 count. So this is my start for block 1. And I'm stitching this on 28 count. Is it sand? I can't even remember. I think it's sand. I do like stitching over one because it means that you can fit these massive patterns onto quite reasonable. I mean, it's still a big piece of fabric, but it's a quarter of the size of the one that I would have needed had I stitched it as charted. So that's that start. And then the retreat came along, and I had such a wonderful time. Really, really highly recommend going to a stitching retreat if you can at all. This was my second retreat, and it was so much better than my first retreat, and I loved my first retreat. But between the first retreat and the second retreat, I've been chatting and messaging to the people that I met there and the friends that I made, and we all arranged to sit on a table together. So we all rocked up, we knew each other. It was like, because we've been chatting nearly every day since the last retreat, it wasn't awkward at all. We were just, hi, you know, show me what you've done. And it was brilliant. So we sat there and we laughed so hard it hurt. We all started various things together. Yeah, we chatted all weekend. We had lovely food. We stayed up late. We played jokes on Donna. Lots and lots of things that we did that were fabulous. And there were quite a few Flosstubers on my table. There were lots of Flosstubers at the retreat, and there were lots of non-Flosstubers as well. And it was just great to hang out with everybody. So we all decided as a whole retreat to do a new start on the Saturday morning. And myself and a few of my friends decided to also start a Lizzie Kate together after tea on the Friday night. So, let's see, I've got things out of order here. The Lizzie Kate that I decided to start is this collection here, the Less More series, which was Fear Less, Hope More, Talk Less, Say More. I always struggle with that one. What's that one? Whine Less, Breathe More, Hate Less, Love More. And I'm doing them all. And I'd show you this without the pattern. Yes. So, like that. Down there. And the border to put them all together is available as a free download from the Lizzie Kate website. So, I started that on the Friday night, and that was as far as I got before I changed over projects. So that's the top of the illuminated F for Fear Less, and a bit of the border. So there were lots of us there starting a Lizzie Kate pattern in honour of their sad retirement, which made me panic, quite frankly, because I love Lizzie Kate. So I went on and bought the things that I knew that I really, really, really wanted, and then I'm continuing to just pick things up as and when. So it's that one. After the October retreat, a few of us decided that we wanted to do a stitch along together, and we chose Olivia Oakleaf by Silver Creek Samplers, because we love her. And so we all took our whips of Olivia to this retreat so that we could put them together, and this is as far as I've got on her. She's lovely. Everybody else had done slightly more than I had, but it's really interesting because we've all chosen different fabric and different size fabric and swapped out some of the threads, so each of them was different. And it's interesting that you can take the same pattern and 4 people can do it, and you come up with 4 completely different things, different pieces. And so for those people who say, I don't like cross stitch because, you know, you're just copying someone else's pattern and they all come out the same, there's no individuality. It's not true. It's just not true. Every piece that you do, you make your own. Especially if you swap things out, but even choosing the fabric or just the way you stitch it, it becomes your own piece of artwork. It's not just something that is, it's not paint by numbers. It's you put part of yourself into everything that you do, and I love it. That's one of the reasons I absolutely love cross stitch. Anyway, moving on. The Saturday morning new start that I did was, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. And that is for my best friend from up near my parents who I grew up with. And this is our saying. And it comes across as a bit schmaltzy and twee. But there's a little story behind it. That a few years ago we were at a hobbycraft show together. And we saw this, not this particular thing, but this saying on something. And we got to chatting and we were like, well, it's not particularly very nice, is it? Because if you see a flower and you pick it, it dies. So, it's, now our saying is, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you and watch you wither and die. Which is not quite so schmaltzy, but it made us wet ourselves laughing as we were going around this show. And I think we were a little bit sleep deprived at the time because it was absolutely hysterical. And so that has now become our saying. So every time we see something that says this, we buy it and send it to each other. Even my little girls who are 6 and 8 go, and then you'd wither and die. So, yeah, but they get it as well. So when I saw this pattern, I had to stitch it. So the plan is to finish it in time for Christmas, frame it up, wrap it up and give it to her for Christmas. I've got some work to do yet. That is the bottom of the word flowers. But it was just a little start on the Saturday morning, and I plan to get back to this ASAP so that it's definitely finished for Christmas. Right. And then the other things I worked on at the retreat were Little Alien Schoolgirl, which I've got this far on at the moment. I've kind of got some rolled away up here. But I've done this basket of fruit. And these down here. And I'm now working on heads in jars, which are fun. Oh, you never think you're going to cross stitch heads in jars. There you go. Ink circles. Little Alien Schoolgirl. Love it. And Mandy, who, I can't remember your Flosstube name, Mandy O'Callaghan. She was had her whip of Little Alien Schoolgirl there as well. And I know that Bonnie from Purple Frog Stitches is wanting to get hold of the pattern as well, so she wants to start it. It's a gorgeous pattern. It's really fun. I love it. And then I, at the last minute, decided to take Celtic Christmas with me because Bo Ribbon, one of my friends, was taking hers along. So I was like, yeah, we can stitch on it together. So we did. And this is as far as I've got. And she is beautiful. I love her. I want her to be one of my focus pieces for this year. So I'd love to get some more of her done. And what I did at the retreat was I finished off her neckline here, and all this red here I did at the retreat. You don't get a massive amount of stitching done at the retreat, but mainly because you're chatting and going off to see what everybody else is doing, and like every 10 minutes it's dinner time! Or at least that's what it felt like. So there we go. I'm turning the page. Retreat haul. It was brilliant. Sparklies, who do the hand-dyed fabrics, was there. So Kate from Sparklies and her son, they were there on the Saturday, and a whole table of hand-dyed fabrics. Just it's like jewellery. It's just couldn't get enough of the stuff. And then Sarah Marnie, who organises the retreat, had her shop there, and she had the entire line of DMC and a lot of different patterns. And lots of other kind of accessories. And then there was somebody there who made grime guards to order. She had her sewing machine, so you just went, I want that fabric for this size, and she whipped it up for you. And there was someone who was selling project bags as well. And it was just, you walk into this room and there are like anything that you want to buy. So lovely. And there's needle minders and scissor fobs, and it's just a treasure trove. So I spent far too much money. One of the things I bought, Sarah is my ink circles dealer. Ink Circles charts, better than crack. And she got me Mother Maya by Ink Circles. Because it's such a pain in the UK to be able to get hold of these charts. Because hardly anyone in the UK stocks them. And if you order them from America, you get whacked with customs charges quite often, as I know. So to find somebody who has a shop like Sarah does and is willing to order the Ink Circles charts in for me, fantastic. So we have this little understanding now. She's sourcing the Bad Neighbourhood designs for me next. Aren't you, Sarah? Yes, you are. Yes. In fact, getting Sarah to get me this has enabled her. So we are starting this together on May the 11th. So she got one for herself as well. And I love it because I used to live in Ecuador for about 3 years. And it reminds me so much of all the South American culture, all the ancient Inca and Mayan history. So I'm going to love stitching that. And I managed to kit up the whole thing while I was there. So I have bubble gum, if you can see. I'm not going to bother taking them all out. To stitch it on. And Sarah had these variegated DMCs. I've decided to do it in variegated DMCs because it's an awful lot cheaper than kitting the whole thing up with hand dyes, and I think it's going to look just as good. So there's that. I bought some beautiful mottled blue purple fabric from Sparklies for Purple Dragon, which I haven't got the chart for with me. It's downstairs. And then this, Kate is so fantastic from Sparklies. I asked her before the retreat if she could bring fabric suitable for mermaids. And when I got there, she handed me a parcel wrapped up and said, in here is loads of different fabrics suitable for mermaids. Go and have a browse. I was like, this is amazing. So I just took it to a table and got them all out. And this is the one that I went for in the end. And it's called Kainance. And it's a beautiful light blue going down to a yellow, which I'm going to say is the shallow water. So this is going to be the seabed, the yellow, going up towards the sunlight in the shallows. And going on that is going to be this beautiful man here, The Air, by Terence Nolan. So he's going to be there. And that is going to be one of my Maynia starts. So pop that there. And then there was the raffle. And I won 2 things at the raffle. And one thing I won was my very first ever project bag. So I was very excited to win that. And I love it. And it's already full of lots of small projects are in there. And this is a scissor fob that I got in a Cross Stitch Cards and ATC swap. And that arrived last week. So I popped it on there. I also won a piece of fabric, a lovely piece of linen, but I've already sent that off to a friend who needed a little bit of a pick-me-up. And the other thing that I got here was this scissor fob. Was it made by Casey? I can't even remember. But Donna, Stitching Donna, has got a Flosstube. I was sat next to her all weekend, and she's just a fabulous, fabulous girl. And she gave me this as a present. Very surprisingly, I was just admiring them on her scissors, and she gave it to me. Thank you. I love it. Love it. Gotta have bling. So that was the retreat. Fabulous weekend. Loved it. Going again in October. Yeah, looking forward to it already. Now, I wasn't going to do Maynia, but as I've already said, I was forced into it. Forced I was. Willingly. But I've decided not to go big. Not to do lots and lots of big projects like I've done in the past. There are a couple in there, but mainly I'm going small this time. And I'm going to do 15 projects throughout May and one every other day. A start every other day. So it'll take the whole of May to do 15 starts. Because what I discovered in the previous years that I've done it was by day 10, I was just, it was doing my head in, doing new starts every single day. So this time I've given myself a bit of a break and spreading it out a bit. So I've also tried to be a bit clever in that a few of the starts are going to be thinking about in advance for all the cross stitch cards and ATC themes that are coming up for the rest of the year, because I'm going to start those this year anyway. So I thought if I get a head start on them now, make the decision of what I'm going to do and get a few threads in, then that makes it easier when they're due that month just to pick it up and finish it off. So start number 1 was this freebie kitty kit, because the Instagram group of ATCs, cross stitch ATCs it's called, is doing a fancy felines swap this month, and it's supposed to be really long. It's kind of like that, but what I've done is just done the top half, so it lacks the back stitch, but all the cross stitching is done. I've nearly finished a Maynia start. So all the back stitch, and this is my ATC template, as it were, just to make sure it fits. And it's going to fit lovely. So that's that done. Well, started, nearly done. Start number 2 was Bless This Wretched Hive of Scum and Villainy from Etsy. And that's as far as I've got. This was for the Star Wars May the 4th Be With You. And I really like this pattern. Really like it. I'm going to get back to that when I can. The third start was also one that is going to come up. It's an animals card, is due soon on the cross stitch cards and ATC group. And so hedgehog. And that's as far as I got. But it's a start, so it'll make doing that swap much easier. And then yesterday I did my 4th start, which was, I finished the Spooked by Lizzie Kate, but it also comes with 3 bonus charts. And so the bonus chart number 1 is a double-sided fob. And so I started side 1 of that, and that's this little witch. So I did that last night. And I'm planning on doing the other 2 bonus things in Maynia as well. So those were 4 I've started. Then 5 is going to be Mother Maya. Well, whatever order. They might not be in this order. Mother Maya. Tuscany by John Clayton. The 2 Spooked bonuses. Gwen by Nora Corbett, and goodness knows where the pattern is. I've got to dig it out. I know I have it. But she's going to go on this sparkly green sparklies fabric, sparklies fabric called Scorpio. And I got that at the October retreat, and Gwen is going to fit on there. And that's 32 count. Yes, 32 count opalescent Murano. Noon Basking by Dracula Creations is going to get started. I've got all the fabric and threads for her or him. Medieval Miniature by Teresa Wentzler, because I have to put a Teresa Wentzler in, and it's tiny. And I haven't got a picture to show you because it's from Patterns Online, and they don't give a cover picture, just the pattern. But it's a mixture of over 1 and over 2 stitching, and it's a knight on a horse, quite little. So I'll show you that when I started it. And then another 3 ATC / cards are going to get started that are coming up. One of them is a fantasy ATC, and this is Stretch by Teresa Wentzler, and I'm just going to redo that section of the head of the dragon there as an ATC, and I think that'll look lovely for a fantasy one. And then the air, which I showed you, the merman holding his baby, that one is going to be a start as well, and that is 15 starts, to say that I wasn't going to do any starts this year. So it's been crazy lately, and I'm absolutely loving it. I love all these stitches, so many patterns, and I just love stitching on every one of them. And I'm loving watching everyone else's Maynia videos as well. So everybody, whatever way you're doing Maynia, there are no rules. It's just really fun. So yeah, dive in, stitch something. And thank you so much for watching this video if you've been waiting 5 or 6 months for it to arrive. and hopefully it won't be that long before I get the next one out. Thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting, thank you for liking, and I shall see you next time. Bye!